Hello everyone, welcome to this side of the internet. My name is Brandon, and today we're going to be looking into perspective a bit. Perspective is something that I've struggled with a little bit, and so when I see things out in the world and they got some perspective in it, I like to examine them and try to figure out what's going on, okay? So I was watching Bo Dante's YouTube channel yesterday, and he was painting this picture, or he was drawing a picture of this room with a one-point perspective kind of view. Pretty easy stuff. We understand one-point perspective, right? But he had a additional vanishing point above the horizon line, creating this distortion in the walls. And I was like, oh wow, can you do that? Can you create a single point perspective with distortion in your verticals the way you see it in 3-point perspective? It's hard to find answers to specific questions like that in regards to perspective, because anytime you Google perspective, you're just going to find a bunch of stuff on 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, and 3-point perspective in the traditional sense that we understand those in. So, to figure out this, I just went to Blender, and so this is what I got here. I'll just pull this up right now. I found out, yes, you can. You can have that kind of situation. And I also found out the reason why you can have this kind of scenario where you have the single point perspective with the distortion on your verticals, like a third point perspective. Let's say you have a top view of a house, and then you put a camera in there. As long as this camera is parallel to the back wall, you're going to have a single point perspective. As soon as you rotate that camera, you're going to have 2-point perspective. Okay, so when the camera is perpendicular to the back wall, or to the wall, or whatever, any object that you're looking at, that's when you're going to have that corner view. Okay, so you're gonna have something more like that instead of something like, disregard the crude drawings. Instead of something like that where a single point perspective's here, you got something where here's a point here and then a point here, going like that. So the camera, once it's rotated, creates these distortions and introduces the different types of perspective, whether or not it's parallel or perpendicular to an object. That's what I've discovered. So I think that's pretty true, I guess. If anybody think that's not true, then please explain to me why it's not, because I'm here to learn. I'm also here to teach. I just learned this stuff, and I'm just like, I gotta teach it now. Because that's how you really learn a subject, right? So, let's say this is a side view. And we got our camera again. Well, to create a scene like this, we're still parallel to the back wall, but as soon as we create that rotation in the camera, that's what's going to introduce those vanishing walls, those perpendicular walls. And you can still have that single point perspective. And that's interesting to learn, because that's not something that you really learn in school. And that begs the question, is it right? I think so. I mean, Blender, does Blender lie? Are my discoveries delusional? I don't know. But that seems like that's what's going on here. And just an interesting demo here. We got this set up here, and we're at an angle, kind of how Boro's got his, and you can see the distortion in the walls. But you can see, as soon as I start to rotate this parallel, you can kind of see where they straighten out. Like that. Let's see how straight. That's pretty damn straight. So that's pretty parallel to the back wall, and now everything's like that traditional sense of single point perspective. And just to reiterate, the 2-point perspective, we can rotate on the z-axis, and you can see as soon as I start to rotate, the top wall right there above the doorway, that's starting to tilt down and go off into the vanishing point far off in the distance. The more extreme my rotation is, and the more I'm looking at that corner, the closer the vanishing point gets to the other vanishing point. Okay, 2-point perspective. We got one here, one here. The more rotation that I have, the closer it starts to get, and therefore the more extreme perspective you have. I think that's all I wanted to say. Basically, it was just a study that was kind of driving me crazy because he was drawing something that I didn't know about, and I think when you freehand draw like this, when you're not confined to a grid, you allow yourself the freedom to kind of do things intuitively like this. Like subconsciously, we know that this is a scene that could be possible, but maybe not using a grid all the time initially is a good thing. I like using a grid. In his video, he was like, I'm not going to use the grid because he wants to learn how to draw, and I'm like, using the grid allows you to learn how to draw in perspective. It's really good practice. So I'd say a balance of both is good. This is just a lot going on, and maybe I recorded this video prematurely, but I don't know. I hope this was educational. I think there was a little bit of educational information in here, and I hope it helped you. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. It's a little confusing. Okay, I got to take a sip of coffee. Try not to stumble over your words too much, and